Okay, part two, exposing Christianity. In this video, I want to talk about the Bible. The Bible is the book that is considered to be the word of God, right? It's the book that Christians have claimed as a Christian book. So let's get into a few facts about the Bible and then talk about this. Is the Bible the word of God? The word of God? Like, really? Pretty arrogant to say. But how many versions of the Bible in English are there? There are more than 100 complete translations into English. Why? Like, why are there so many? Right? All you're doing, you're taking the original languages, the Bible, the I guess the manuscripts that were used to create the Bible, right, were written in Greek and Hebrew. You translate that to English. How do you end up with more than 100 different versions? And every version claims to have been translated accurately and diligently and responsibly by the best translators and interpreters and all this and whoever those people are that study language and like the best. Every version was translated by the best and is the most accurate. And yet you have more than 100 different versions of the same writings. That's very interesting, right? It makes me think of, I don't know if you saw the first video in this series um, about denominations, how there's more than 45,000 denominations of Christianity worldwide. And I talked about how that's because of the amount of confusion within the religion, right? And when it comes to the book, the Bible, you see that same confusion here too, right? So, yeah, more than 100 complete translations of the Bible into English. Check this out. How many changes, how many times has the Bible been changed? Like, I've heard people say that a lot throughout my life, that the Bible was changed, the Bible, but I've never seen anything black and white. But check this out. Over 30,000 changes were made to the Bible. Over 30,000. Why? Now here it says more than 5,000 represent differences between the Greek text used for the Revised Version and that used as the basis of the King James Version. Like, I read that. I don't even understand what they're saying right there. Like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that means. Like, if the first verse is, if when the Bible was translated, it was translated by the best scholars and interpreters and translators and, masters of whatever language, right? The best. And it was translated accurately and responsibly and diligently and all these things. Why are there 30,000 changes? Why do more than 5,000 of these changes represent differences between the Greek blah blah blah? I don't know what they're saying there. But still, my question is still simple. Why? And again, every version claims the same thing, yet there are more than 100 different versions. Most of the other changes were made in the interest of consistency or modernization. Now, I've seen the modernization. I've seen that in a lot of versions of the Bible that I've read. They take out the old English of the King James version, and they take the th's off of the end of words and stuff like that, and they just say it regular, like how we would say it today. But still, more than, like, how many times can you do that? There's more than 100 different versions of the Bible in English, and this is just English. Like, how many? I don't know. I read somewhere that the Bible's been translated into more than 1,000 different languages, and so if there's 1,000 different versions just in English, I mean, more than 100 different versions just in English alone. What about the other languages? How many versions are there in the other? Like, I don't understand that, right? Like, if I say, "How you doing" in English, boom, how you doing? If I go to China and I say, I want to say, "How you doing," right? If I say, ask somebody, "Hey, how do you say how you doing" in English? Or if I use my translate app, Google Translate, and I just say I speak how you doing, right? Google is not going to translate that 100 different ways, right? It's just going to give you one translation. This is how you say how you doing, right? So I don't understand. I don't understand, like, 100. Why are 100 different? More than, it's not 100. It's more than 100, which means you don't. They don't give you a definite number, so there's no telling how. 125, 150, 200. Like, who knows? But it doesn't make any sense to me. And then I just feel like this right here is bullshit. Over 30,000 changes, more than 5,000 represent differences between a blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's bullshit. Most of the other change, what the fuck does most mean? How many is most, right? Most of the other changes were made in interest of consistency and modernization. Okay, and then what about the other changes? Because that's not all of them. What about the others? Why were they made, right? First, I just believe this whole thing is bullshit, though, right? I believe that these changes were made, like, the different denominations had some influence over it, right? The over 45,000 different Christian denominations, surely they had some influence over all of these different versions and interpretations of the Bible. And check this out. This also has a lot to do with, why did King James edit the Bible? When you look at the King James Bible, like, the King James Bible is considered the most trustworthy Bible of them all. It's always been my favorite, despite the Old English in it. I just always, it just always resonated with me. I've read a lot of other versions of the Bible, but the King James has always been my favorite. It still is. But King James, if you ever look on it's the King James version. It's his version of the Bible. Now I'm gonna read this, and then I'm gonna get into some stuff about the Bible. In 1604, England's King James authorized a new translation of the Bible aimed at settling some thorny religious differences in his kingdom and solidifying his own power. Now, how powerful is that? Now, if you go back to that bullshit I was just reading about where these changes came from, if you go back to this, more than 5,000 of these changes represent this, and most of the other changes represent this. This is what these changes were really about. It's about a government trying to, or here, I don't, this is more like a dictatorship, I guess you would call it, just one person in power, the king, but he represents government, right? Same thing, just a different structure. The same thing. But this is about government and power, government holding on to power, right? Government controlling people, population control. So now, let's talk about this Bible a little bit. I got some things on my mind that I wanted to talk about, but that's very interesting. And I've always heard people talk about the Bible and religion, not really so much the Bible necessarily, but just the Christian religion and just a lot of religions in general. How governments create religions to control people, to keep them living in fear. King James did it, right? Back in the fucking 1800s. Government is if government has changed, it's only become more corrupt, right? It's not better. But okay, so let's talk about this Bible. Who wrote the Bible? First of all, let's talk. Okay, it's so many different. Okay, so first, the Bible is not a book. The Bible is a collection of writings by different writers that were all compiled into this one binding, right? It's a collection of writings. Most of these writings, people don't even know who wrote them. Most of these writings were written before Christianity was even a thing, before Jesus had even come to the earth, as they claim. Like most of these writings were written long before the existence of Jesus. And these are not the only right. There were thousands of different writings, thousands of different manuscripts. So how these made it into the Bible and the rest weren't, I don't know. But I'm just saying, these were manuscripts. These are just this is just a collection of different writings by different people that were compiled together. And this compilation was called the Bible. The Bible is not a Christian book. Christians have claimed the Bible as their book, and people think it's a Christian book. But the Bible is no more a Christian book than the rainbow is a gay pride symbol. The rainbow is not a gay pride symbol. The Bible is not a Christian book. And the Bible, who are all these? It's just really interesting to me, like how people is the Bible the word of God? Like what makes the Bible the word of God? This is another tactic used by Christianity to make people live in fear, right? Because they done brainwashed the masses to believe that the Bible is the word of God as if it has some like legit authority. And it doesn't. That's all bullshit. But if they tell you that and if you believe it's the word of God, then you read something out of it and you take it at face value, you take it literally, and you become afraid to not follow or obey what you just read. And I don't think nobody's on the planet has read the Bible more than me. And there's a lot of shit in there about slavery. Like I've heard a lot that the Bible was used to justify slavery, and just a lot of atrocities that have been committed in the name of God, justified by the word of God. Let me pause right there. Let me tell you something. Like what people call God, there is no word of God. There's no such thing. It's like the dumbest shit ever. How do I say this? Do you like how can you limit a power so great and tremendous, so vast, so diverse to speaking through one book? It's the dumbest shit ever. Like if you can learn about God just from studying nature, just observing nature. Look at how diverse. Like it's insane. Like it's unfathomable. Like you can't even comprehend the amount of diversity seen throughout nature, seen throughout the universe. But God only speaks through one book. This one book that's been changed 30, I'm gonna say more than 30,000 fucking times. Is God changing it? Because to change it means it was fucked up, right? Like you don't change something that's perfect. You don't change something that's boom, that's it, that's you don't change what's good. You change what's bad. You change mistakes. You change errors, right? If you was taking a test and you looked at all your answers and you thinking to yourself, all my answers are correct, you're not going to change them. 30,000 changes? How is this the word of now? Let me pause right here. The Bible is my favorite book of all time. The Bible is responsible for my transformation more than any other book or teaching or anything, period. Nothing is more responsible for my transformation. There is a lot of truth in the Bible. It is a powerful book. It is a powerful book. It really is. There's a lot of bullshit in it too. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of truth in it. And there's a lot of practical truth, like mm, anger, right? Like I've had an anger problem, like really out of control, like in my earlier years. The Bible revealed that to me. I didn't even realize I had a problem. The Bible revealed that to me, and it revealed to me, or just reading it, it taught me why it's foolish to be angry quickly or to get angry quickly. Like I had quick temper. It taught me why that was foolish, how that could be self-destructive. Right? That's just one example of many I could give. So I'm just saying, I'm not shitting on the Bible. Like I like the Bible. I would say like I love the Bible. Especially like you start reading the book of Proverbs. That is a great fucking book. It is a powerful book, full of powerful truths. But the Bible is not the only source for truth. So like when you say when the word of God, what that really means is truth. That's all that means is truth. And the Bible is not the only source of truth. Like truth can come from anywhere. And this intelligence that created all of this can't be restricted to just one book. Like that's just fucking dumb. And people that say that have no idea what God is like. They have no idea. So yeah, I just wanted to say those couple things and I feel like I got more to say, but I'm at like 20 minutes. I'm coming up on 20 minutes. But yeah. So I feel like I touched on the most important things. The Bible is not a Christian book. It's been changed over 30,000 times, and there's over 100 different versions of the Bible just in English alone. I don't say that to discredit the Bible, but I'm just saying that to say, I'm just sharing information. I'm just sharing information. That's all. But if the Bible is the word of God, why was it changed so many times? Why are there so many different versions? I feel like people are coming up with different versions just based on what suits them, based on what makes sense to them. And it's bullshit. So that's all for this video. What are your thoughts on that?